the Almon Gunter experience. I'm looking at this guy, and I was over
Yeah.
here just looking so happy, looking dark, looking like he
Yeah.
had fun in the
Yeah,
sun.
brother. Yeah, brother. A little fun in the sun this week, brother. I'm in St. Martin. And that annual St. Martin trip that I take to kind of refuel, recharge, get reinvigorated, and I get my snorkel time in. And so it's all good, man. It's beautiful. I mean, it's sunny. The water looks good. It's clear. As we say, as Bill Withers would say, it's a lovely day, brother. It's a lovely day.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
I
no
hear it.
complaints over here. Man. No complaints. I see you got that beach background. Trying. I feel you. I feel you,
I
brother.
had
It's a
to,
good
man. I
vibe.
had to
It's
switch.
a it's a good vibe, baby. It's a good vibe. It really is. But yeah, I love St. Martin. I love the people of St. Martin, and but it's just one of my favorite places to really come and say, all right, let's see what else we can come up with. I usually end up doing a lot of writing here and just coming back with fresh ideas, and you know, there's always a new book that comes out of St. Martin, so it's all good.
So the lion's den is travel friendly. I mean, you just basically, wherever the lion lays down, that's the den.
It's, well, I mean, listen, sometimes you have to move the pride, right? I mean, you move the pride to where, you feel that there's the most abundance.
Yes,
so,
yes.
so every now and then you got to move it to where you feel the most abundance, brother. And so
Wow,
here it is. This is
wow.
where we landed.
Well, we didn't do this on purpose, but I feel like that is the perfect segue into our topic today. I mean, don't you think The Lion King is literally like the greatest
Oh,
story for
well,
that?
it's one of my favorite all-time movies, man. I think that there's just so many lessons. Because ultimately, you all go through this adversity, and there's always doubt. And what's crazy is you have doubt within yourself, but then when there's other people that put doubt inside of you, as in what Scar did to Simba, right? And there are people that try to manipulate you into thinking different things. And but then ultimately, hopefully, if your foundation is one that's rock solid like Simba's was, I mean, Mufasa had given him, such a great foundation, and then Nala remind him of who you are, like where you come from, what you stand for, who you are as a person. And then, and I believe that ultimately people have to find that courage, like to go back and stare it down, stare that thing down that you're afraid of, and to conquer it. So when I think, and lions are my thing, right? It's they're in my office all around the place, and they're there for a reason, because for me, I think just the courage and understanding that family's first, and developing habits that can help you overcome things. I think that's huge. So yeah, yeah, I think it's a great movie that symbolizes what we're talking about, as far as a comeback. How do you come back from uncertainty or injury or adversity? Like, how do you come back from that? And we all have these ideas of where we want to be, or what we want to happen for our life. But yet, some of us, select ourselves out, meaning that we don't put in the work that's necessary to do it. So, this whole big thing, that we're dealing with, yeah, it's a game. And when you learn to play it, and play it well, then you're going to be successful, because you've done the work. I think a lot of people let life happen to them and then complain about it or compare themselves to other people. And I think there's other people that make life happen, right? Like I've said before, my papa said, you only get one life to live, but if you do it right, it's more than enough. And so the challenge is when I look at being here in St. Martin, how does that relate to game day, and making myself better? Well, it does, because I've allowed myself to slow down, to go fast. I've allowed myself to realize that what is important is taking care of me. This is one of the ways that I take care of me. I can remove myself from every day of being home, and be in this paradise, and swim and snorkel, and allow my mind, right, to go elsewhere, and to think of some things that maybe I wouldn't think of at home. And then, because I don't have the all of the hustle and bustle at home, I could think of ideas of how to be better. And that's what this game's all about. It's about being able to like take your situation, step back, reevaluate, and say, how can I be better? How can I serve more? How can I help more people? And part of that is make sure you're always helping yourself. And so right now, I'm getting stronger. That's the way I see. Anytime and again, my name's in the jingle, so there's never really a vacation because 24/7, 365, I'm always thinking about, AGE3 and the Academy of Mentoring and how do we serve more people and make more people better. But I know in order to do that, I've always got to be at my best. So I play this game every day to be my best, to get 1% better. And sometimes that requires me to, come to the islands, come to paradise. Earlier this year, it required me to go to Alaska and do something I always wanted to do, a bucket list thing of catching salmon. And I did. So every time I do something like that, it says, "Okay, man, that's a little win. That's like you're playing this thing right," and it keeps me inspired to keep moving forward. But if you start taking in the wrong information that leads you to making the wrong decisions, then that could be a very bad life for you. That's why I'm so big on critical thinking. Again, I think you owe it to yourself to be able to challenge yourself enough every single day to to fight for the right information. I think like you can't be lazy. Like I think again, a lot, there's a lot of people that are just lazy. They don't. You know how hard it is to just simply see if the information you're receiving is right or wrong. Like it's so easy to do that today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, if you get some information that and I think all information that you take in, you do your best to validate it. I mean, that's why I love science so much because someone can tell you that they did this thing in science, and the scientific community don't all of a sudden go, okay, yeah, that's right. No, they take a whole bunch of other people using the same stuff that you and see if they can get to the same conclusion. And if they get to the same conclusion, then they're like, oh yeah, that's right. And so I think, when you look at people that are very successful, they never stop fighting to find the truth of the information they're receiving so they can make better decisions, which always lead them to be more successful. And when you don't do that, the word that comes to mind is just lazy. I think it's lazy because we have so much access to information now that can really change our lives for better or worse. I mean, that's just factual. And so if we're not doing that, I mean, that's it's on you. I mean, right? It's on you. If you're not getting the results that you want in your life, you have to be willing to stop, evaluate where you are, look at the information you're taking in. How am I executing that information? And perhaps you will find in there why you're not getting what you want. But if you just accept that this is it, for instance, when I was injured, if I would have just accepted that I've torn my hamstring and I'm never going to compete again, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Like my life would have taken this different path. There's no doubt.
Which you could have easily done. You could have easily
Totally,
said, "Yeah,
totally.
athletes don't come back from this. This is I'm a
Right.
sprinter. It's
Yes.
probably the
Yes.
most important muscle in the whole deal."
Yes. Yes. And no one would have blamed me for it too, right? I mean, I think that's the other thing. I could have taken that path out and no one would have said, "Hey, I think you should have fought harder." I think a lot of people would went, "Yeah, I get it. Hey, this is what the paramedics and doctors said, and so yeah, you have to now take this different step in your life." And but for me, it was like, well, first of all, you don't really know me like that to make that decision for me. I went and got additional information. You know what I mean? I got additional information. I started to do a little work. That little work turned into some little wins. Those little wins started turning into bigger wins, and before you know it, I'm back, and people are scratching their heads. But again, that's what I'm saying about when things happen. You don't have to just take the first word you're given for that. Somewhere in there, be willing to have enough courage to do the work, to dig deep, to see if that's you or not, because it could very well not be you. And I know for me, at that moment, being told that I wasn't able going to be able to compete again, well, that wasn't me. That wasn't me at that moment.
Do you remember the first thought that entered your mind?
I mean, the first thought that entered my mind was I had never felt that level of pain before in my life. Like the pain was, dude, it was it was unbearable. As a matter of fact, I I wanted my mom. My thought was, man, this hurt so, like, dude, I didn't know if I was gonna make it or not. So just can somebody get my mom here? Which you couldn't. I mean, I was 9 miles away. I mean, 9 hours away from her, but I just remembered like how bad it hurt. Um, but then I heard them when they said I wasn't gonna run again, though. That was I was clear about when I heard that. But in that moment too, another thing that probably helped me um, go, okay, I'm a fighter, was I could also remember my coach, Coach Larry Montz, saying, "Well, you don't know this guy." I remember they said, "Probably not going to run again." I remember Coach Montz saying, "Well, you don't know this guy." So I think probably subconsciously now that was kind of embedded into my head, which is crazy because after my track career and then I took the 6 years off, Coach Larry Montz was the first guy that I called when I was going to come back at age 28. And he said, "Hey, if anyone can do it, you can do it." But this was the same guy that when I was laying on an indoor track was saying, "Hey, you don't really know that guy." So I knew that he was always cheering for me. I knew that he always felt that I probably had something inside of me that a lot of people just don't have. So making that call to him 6 years later and saying, "Hey, I think I want to do this thing again." um, I'm pretty sure that's why he was the phone call. I mean, because I had other coaches that were great coaches, but he got the first phone call for sure.
And if you're just tuning in and you might have missed a couple of podcasts ago, Almond told the story of that injury. So dial it back, go back a couple
Yeah,
episodes. You'll be able to pick up
yeah,
the full story. But just to summarize,
yeah. My sophomore year of junior college, and we were just regular track meet. Wasn't a big time meet, and dude, it happened, and it was an indoor meet. Well, what was interesting about it was my first time ever running on boards. Normally tracks are rubber, made out of synthetic rubber. Florida, University of Florida has one of the best indoor tracks around in the O'Connell Center. But this was actually in Birmingham, and they put in boards, and these boards were banked. And literally, when you run, you can hear them. Like there was plyboard, like you could hear it. It was loud.
hmm,
And I'd never run on those before. I mean, it was banked. I mean, like you come up, come down, and so it was a new experience. And I think warming up, um, maybe my warm up wasn't exactly what it needed to be in hindsight. That's what they all tell me anyway, because I kind of felt the nagging in my hamstring before I actually took the track, and
hmm.
they were like, "Well, that was telling you that it wasn't warm," and so so I learned a lot from that.
Wow.
But it was not pretty. I tell you, it was not pretty at all. But we battled back.
That interesting though, like that you might have had like a little inner voice that was saying, "Hey, you're not ready. You're not ready."
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I remember Dr. John Beatty telling me, I said, "Yeah, I had this like literally in the middle of my hamstring. It was just like it didn't hurt, but it was like this little nag. I mean, like it just wasn't quite warmed up and ready to go." And I learned that, that's where I learned to listen to my body, man. Your body tells you, especially, when you get tuned into it. So I really learned to listen to my body and know when I'm warmed up and ready to go out and perform and do my thing. So
You know, you said that if you didn't have your comeback, we wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't be where you are today. Do you think if you hadn't had that injury, you wouldn't be where you are today?
yeah, yeah, I do. I think, see, I think the beauty of adversity is that it pushes you to make a decision about who you are. And when people, always are in search of ease, nothing substantial will ever grow from that. It just won't. I mean, when you see like a flower that pushes through concrete, you can't help but go, man, that is some fight. You know what I mean? Like that's fight. But a lot of people, they want easy. Like they literally in their lives going, I just want to wake up one day and it's just great. I, that's just not going to happen. That's not how life really works. So to me, when adversity shows up at my doorstep, I know that there has to be some resolve. Like you're gonna have to resolve whatever this is. Like if you're gonna get to the other side, it's up to you. Like you're gonna have to call in some resources, but there has to be a resolve. And so I look for it. And so if I think back and go, yeah, if I wouldn't have gotten injured and I would have just went on ahead and competed and was I'm not sure that this is happening right now. There would have been some other adversity somewhere else that showed up in my life that maybe could have, pushed us back to this path. But I know that did because it told me who I was as a person. I mean, that's where I came up with the philosophy of when I'm working with student athletes until they get injured and become like 16 years plus of age, I'm not excited because you don't know what you have. Man, yeah, come on. You don't know what you have. You don't know what you have until a person gets to be an independent thinker, think a little more critically. And that's what happens, when you become 16, you're a little older. Now you get to make some decisions, right? Or 18 or 20. And then you're competing. And then you get hurt. And from an athletic standpoint, that's when you know what you have on your hand. And I think that's exactly how life is. I think that people that go through life and they don't have a whole lot of challenge, the moment that real challenge shows up, that's when you know. That's when you know. That's when you know what you have. See, those are the moments when when I start hearing people say that's not fair, or life isn't fair, then I already know, man. I already know you haven't been challenged because life is fair. It shows up for everyone. You know what I mean? So if you're the person that starts saying how unfair this thing is, ah, come on now. That's when I know.
And when you say you won't work with an athlete or you don't necessarily get serious with an athlete until they have been through injury, is that always physical injury?
No, it's both. I think because we go through both of those injuries. And the thing is like I get athletes very young, 8 years old, 9 years old. But for me, what I'm working on is development. See, those years up to 16, man, look, I don't care if a 12-year-old wins like a title in baseball. I mean, come on, bro. They're not giving scholarships to 12-year-old. Like those types of things, like when I see, coaches trying to stack teams of like 9-year-olds, like really? Like, what are you teaching the kid? Like to me, up into 16, it's really about development. Have we developed people to be able to A, know their value, B, have a strong foundation and respect, responsibility, know what commitment is, know what it is to sacrifice. You know what I mean? Are you a team player? Do you have some type of leadership skill? Like to me, those years up to 16, because think about it. You got 24 months left to you what we call an adult. So if you haven't put that kind of stuff in at 16, and you know what happens 16, 17, 18, bodies start to change, kids get bigger, stronger. If you've always been a big kid, but now you've stopped growing and you haven't had to fight through stuff, no one's really taught you, how to fight through stuff. Usually you're the kid who no longer wants to play sports. That's just a fact. That's the way it works. But I feel like that's the same in life. I think that if you've been the kid who academically you've always been really good, and then all of a sudden you get to college and then you realize there's a lot of smart people, there's a lot of smart people. And now you're competing and now you're frustrated because you're not making those straight A's that you used to make because college professors are different. I think all of that stuff applies. And that's why, to me, man, the greatest thing that I think you can give any kid is foundation. You build a foundation and character that will allow this person to be able to stand when the adversity comes. Because guess what? It's coming. Injury is going to happen. Trust me. Nobody can avoid it. Yeah.
I think that for a lot of young people, probably most, honestly, if we're being really honest, like probably most young people, something happens early in life that shows up and it's an
Yep.
injury, an emotional, psychological injury. And I think that just awareness of, okay, you know, first of all, how important is this to me?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and in a lot of young people, I think the thing that really shows up early on in their lives is people that they thought were their friends who, mistreat them or are not kind to them. And I think from a mental standpoint, that's really hard when you're a young person. So those things happen, and if we're not diligent as leaders into helping them be able to navigate those types of things, it's going to show up down the road. It's just going to show up. You know, I think young kids, they deal with a lot of stuff, and getting them to a point to where they have a voice and be able to let people know when they're being bullied or let people know when they feel like something's not quite right. I think that's the most important thing is letting them know that it's okay to talk about these things with people that you trust that can help you. Like I don't know. I mean, I look at our young kids today and I feel like they deal with so many things that they shouldn't have to. Um, one of my pet peeves is like a kid, on a team and the coach just not right. I mean, let's just call it like it is. And you'll have parents who say, well, I'm not going to say anything because then, they'll take it out on my kid. And I go, well, why would you want somebody coaching your kid that would like take it out on your kid if you're telling them the truth about what they're doing? Like, to me, there's just certain things that, that
Yeah.
bro, it doesn't make sense to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Because
and
ultimately,
and you're complicit, right? We go back to being complicit.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. If you don't say
because
anything about what
ultimately,
you know is wrong,
right,
you might as well be doing it
right.
yourself. Yeah.
Because again, I guess my approach is totally different too. Because my end game is it's always about producing productive people
Yeah.
that are good people.
Yeah. You don't mind helping the
Like
people that are doing the wrong thing.
that's what I'm saying. Like to me, it's always about building a community in which like we help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I hear that kind of stuff, it just rubs me wrong because I'm like, the big picture here should be we're trying to build a better world.
Yeah.
And you don't build a better world by letting things go that that's just not right. You know.
Another thing we touched on in the past couple of episodes is, are you hurt or are you injured? Can you take just
Yeah,
a moment, just a quick moment to unpack that question? What's the difference between being hurt and being injured?
yeah. I think hurt is everyday life. I think when you wake up, especially if you've been an athlete, your body is never 100%. But I think just people in general, you never wake up to a life that's 100% great. And there's little things that you have to navigate every single day. To me, that's the hurt. That's the part where you keep fighting through and you keep expanding your mental capacity to be able to deal with hard things. when you're injured, to me, that's trauma. That's like real trauma. Things that send you to the hospital or things that are done to you that are really traumatizing. And that's where you have to get the help, whether it's, see a therapist, whether it's see a doctor, whether it's go to a go-to person that can really help you navigate this pain. That's two different things. But I think we're in this place now that it seems like to me, any hurt is trauma. And I'm like, no, I mean, there's things that you have to be able to just navigate. In fact, people are going to talk about you. I mean, I don't, people talking about me, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, like, I guess there's worse things, that you could talk about than me. Um, but that's hurt, but that's how you learn how to do hard. And like my granddaddy would say, hey man, you gotta learn how to do hard shit. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm constantly coaching up, whether I'm working with adults or working with kids. My whole thing is, look, learn how to do hard,
Yeah.
play hurt. That's my new thing. Learn to play hurt. Can you play hurt? Because in life you gotta play hurt every day. It's the way it is.
Play hurt. Yep. Learn to play hurt. I'd love to know what is one of your favorite comeback stories, one that really comes to mind when you think about the comeback mindset. And what if we were to think of one person
Hmm.
that really represents that for you, which person would that be?
It's This is an easy one for me because this happened recently. It's Misty Copeland. She is the ballerina. She was like the first African American principal dancer, in the American ballet. Um, but she had six stress fractures, like in her leg, like to the tibia, like they were almost coming out. And and of course, again, you're not going to dance through this. And she underwent a procedure, and 7 months later, she's back on the stage. And the moment that these stress fractures was happening, I mean, how painful they had to be is like, oh my God. But her whole mindset was, people had come to see her, like little girls had come to see her, and she wanted to inspire them. So she's fighting through this pain that nearly ended her career. Um, and she came back better than ever, as only Misty Copeland can do. And then if you think about her story, she started so late in life in ballet, was told she had the wrong body type and all of these things that you hear. Her family, didn't have much money. Like there was a litany of things that she could have easily just said, hey, I'm not going to do this. And no one would have faulted her for it, right? Again, another built-in excuse, so to speak. But she didn't. She didn't. She fell in love with ballet. Ballet fell in love with her, and she worked through it. So when I hear that story, it's like that's a comeback story. That is like six stress fractures to the tibia. Like, trust me, I'm a runner, and I know what it's like when you have one stress fracture, a very small one. So for her to do that because it was important, not for her. It was about service, and just last week she took her final dance. And it was amazing because she's had an incredible career. She totally inspired a new generation of ballerinas, and she turned the whole world on its ear. And to me, those are the comeback stories that I really love because this was bigger than ballet. If you think about what she did, it's bigger than ballet. And I love those types of stories.
It's amazing. I love that, and it also reminds me that now she's a regular person, right?
Yeah, RP baby.
She's an RP,
Yeah,
and it also makes me think about, you say nothing fails like success, and I think
yeah.
that once you've come back, life doesn't stop, right?
No, it
You get to
doesn't.
hit that reset button, and you get to run another race or play another round or dance another
Hmm.
dance, and you just keep coming back. You keep having the opportunity to
Right.
choose, and it really seems like it's almost a daily thing, right? And
Well, it is. I mean, and again, if you look at her now, she's an RP, and she's going to be an RP a lot longer than she was a ballerina. If all things go according to plan, she's going to be that a lot longer than a ballerina. And that's and it's funny. She was great. She was awesome. But trust me, the ballerina world. they're right now talking about someone else. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's the way this thing works.
The comeback mindset, coach. We're going to work in a new segment this week, the mental muscle moment. If you were to sum up the comeback mindset, ultimately, what would it boil down to for you?
Daily create little wins. You know, when you're fighting back from injury, there's this thing inside your head that can make you believe you're so far away from being who you were, or getting back to where you were, just to be able to do this thing that you love. And so it will sidetrack you if you do that. You know, the best thing to do is create little wins. Just say, you know, what can I do today to get a little bit better? And those little wins ultimately become a little bigger and a little bigger. Before you know it, you're back. You know, my hamstring injury, when it initially happened, I seemed so far away from really being able to compete again, or just run. You know, forget about competing. But every day, just doing a little bit and not overdoing it. I think that's the other thing too. When you get injured and you start to feel a little bit better, you do just a little bit more. And I always caution people about that. You know, no, you do what you're supposed to that day, hold your ground, and then you win a little bit more tomorrow. Don't do too much. And I've seen that happen over and over again, where people coming back, they feel good, so they do that little bit more, that little bit more, and then it sets them back because they've done too much. So you know, the mental muscle, you know, moment for me is always, hey, just win today, just win a little bit today, just get a little bit better today. That's all. That's all. Because if we do that, right, we're happy. It's a win. It's a win. And so you want to get accustomed to winning.
Yeah, baby, I love it. Well, listen, it's been the Almon Gunter experience. I'll tell you one thing that I've definitely taken away is just that reminder of how important it is to surround yourself with people who have the right outlook, positive attitude, that are in because they're there for you, and they have the right purpose and goal. And I can't be more grateful for you, my brother, and what an amazing friend and mentor you are. If you don't have a mentor, get a mentor. Get
Yes.
on that Titan
Yes.
program. Let's go.
Yes, baby. Hey, we always say, if you don't have a mentor, get a mentor, and also be a mentor. Because if one person just helped one other person, no one would ever need help. You know, that's the goal. That's the goal. We need to help each other. So, you know, as always, look, couldn't do this without my baby brother. We couldn't do it really without you guys. You know, in the future, we've said we're going to bring some people on. I think next week we're going to have some people join our podcast, and we're also going to do some live podcasts. I think it'd be great to just go live and have you guys be able to interact with us. So, um, I'm going to go get me some snorkel in right now. You know, hey, brother, just gonna get a little snorkel in, see what I can see.
I don't blame you.
But it's so great, baby bro. You know, we love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do with it. Hey, Gunner,
Dorsey.
every day's game day, baby. We're out. Peace.
Peace.